Hey there, in today's video I'm going to compare the Nike Alphafly 3 with the new Balance FuelCell SuperComp Elite version 4 by running on the road and on the treadmill. I'm making this video because I have the two shoes, the Alphafly 3s and the SuperComp FuelCell Elite version 4. And I wanted to see, intuitively, I think the Alphafly is faster, it's a lighter shoe, and that has, I think, intuitively is one thing. What I'm looking for is data. I've taken the shoe to Dano Sports in Dublin, where I ran on the treadmill and measured using their system, a specialized system that I'll be going through in more detail in another video. And I measured the shoe at 3 different speeds, the two shoes at 3 different speeds on the treadmill using Dano's technology and also my Stryd foot pods. And today I'm come to this long straight stretch that I run on regularly. It's 400 meters long, where I'm trying to run at exactly the same pace in the two shoes. About 4 minutes per kilometer, maybe 4 minutes, 5, something like that. In each shoe, I'll get it on the first shoe and then I'll make sure I match it on the second shoe. And by running over 400 meters in a straight line, what I'm trying to get is about 100 meters of clean data, which I compare one shoe to the other, because obviously you speed up and all that. But over 400 meters, I'm hoping to get about 100 meters in each shoe where I'm running at exactly the same pace, then analyze the data when I get back home. That's my plan. Now, as always, this video might be long. Chapter marks down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. Now it's back to analyze some of the data. I'm going to look at some data from a previous park run I did in the two shoes, then the treadmill data, the road running data, some of my own intuitive data, and then go through some conclusions on the two shoes. I'll put some of the data up here as screenshots and you can pause it. I won't go through all of it in exhausting detail, but you can pause it and read away to your heart's content. I've previously viewed both these shoes and I'll put links to those videos at the end. They're both now freely available. Before they were, certainly the Alphafly was very restrictive. Now they're both available. The Alphafly 3 is the more expensive of the two. These are both premium end shoes. The Alphafly 3 is in Europe €310 and the New Balance is €280. I'll put full descriptions down below of the various different costs around the world. And the Alphafly 3 is lighter. It's 266 grams or 9.38 ounces in my UK size 12, US men's 13. And that's versus 287 grams or 10.12 ounces for the New Balance. Again, the stuff down in the description. And in terms of running in them, I've run 122 kilometers or 76 miles in the Alphafly 3 so far, and the New Balance 60 kilometers or 37 miles, and long runs, short runs at various different paces to try and get an understanding of the two shoes. I did a previous park test, ran 1 kilometer in each of these shoes and a variety of others. I'll put a link in the description below, but essentially I ran at a tempo pace for a kilometer in a variety of different shoes to try and see if I could tease out any differences between them. But suffice to say, what I managed to find out of that data was that there's less ground contact time in the Alphafly 3, less vertical oscillation, and a similar stride length at that sort of pace. But I found in the Alphafly 3, my cadence was higher, which I put down largely to it being a lighter shoe. I tested the shoes on the treadmill at Dano Sport here in Dublin. I ran at 8 kilometers an hour, then 12 kilometers an hour, and then 16 kilometers an hour. Roughly 5 miles an hour, 7.5 miles an hour, and 10 miles an hour. I didn't go up to 18 kilometers an hour because I felt unsteady at that sort of speed. And I pretty much ramped up, then 2 minutes, then ramp, then 2 minutes, allowing me to get a minute of data at each of the speeds, pretty much clean in each of the shoes. I'll be comparing the data I could get out of the Dano. Dano had socks, and you'll see sensors on the side, and there's also pressure sensors in the socks. So I ran with the socks and with the Stryd foot pods on the shoes and compare those later. But yeah, I did all the treadmill running in Dano here in Dublin. You'll see the Stryd foot pods here on the New Balance. I've put them in. You just clip them into little brackets on each shoe. They connect via Ant Plus and Bluetooth. I paired them with my watch. In some of the, I think the scenes out running along by the beach, you'll hear where the watch is telling me to start. And I get audio signals as I go along, and depending on my Stryd training, I can get various signals. And I'll show some of the images you can see. There's a when you've got the Stryd Duo, you get extra, which is obviously the two pieces, you get extra data. With the single one, you can see on a map where you ran, and you get all these ground contact data and all of that. When you've got the Stryd Duo, you can look at pictures from the side, from the top, from the back. You can see all, and you can also see it in 3 dimensions. So you can spin around. I'll show a demo of each of those. But what I was trying to do was compare the data, and it's actually easier with the FootPod, the Duo analysis. It's easier to segment you, so you can see I could do it exactly. But I found fairly similar things. One of the things I was really interested in the treadmill was whether when I ran faster in one shoe or another, my symmetrical balance from the rear would be very different. That's what I was really trying to see. And I couldn't actually. What you can see is, I think the Alphafly is in the dotted, and the New Balance is the solid line, and there's a right and there's a right shoe and a left shoe, and one is blue and one is orange. And it is really good to analyze that kind of data. But in respect to these particular shoes, what I really found was pretty much the same as running outside. There was less ground contact time in the Alphafly 3, less vertical oscillation in the Alphafly 3, and a similar sort of stride, higher cadence in the Alphafly 3. I found a very similar story when I was doing the road running. I set out to try and run at 4 minutes per kilometer on each shoe. Again, I'm trying to get the same speed and judge the shoe then in terms of the various different characteristics. Okay, start. One of the things I did notice, and I'll play some B-roll of it here, you can hear the watch telling me to start off, but you could definitely feel the Alpha 3 working in the forefoot. You could really feel there was much more difference in the forefoot. The New Balance, it just felt the same throughout. Really, it felt really comfortable, really stable, but ultimately not as fast. I felt I was working harder to go at the same speed, and of course it was a very windy but beautiful sunny day to do this particular test. What did I conclude after all that? Well, first of all, my intuitive feel sort of matches the data, and it is a limited data set in all of the various ones. So I did also do long runs in the shoes, and so I did a variety of running in the shoes, but I did find in the New Balance I had a higher vertical oscillation. Again, fine margins. These are 2 high performance carbon plate shoes, and the differences are smaller. The Alphafly 3 I had a higher cadence, and the stride length was similar in both of these shoes. These are both great shoes, really enjoyable to run in, and I've done long runs and short runs and all those kind of runs. So I've run all sorts of paces, all sorts of distances. What I felt was that I was working a bit harder in New Balance. I particularly noticed that out on the straight run. There was wind, but I felt I was working harder. You could tell immediately there was less going on in the forefoot. You can always tell with the Alphafly there's something going on in the forefoot, whereas the New Balance shoe felt more similar throughout the foot strike and roll. They're both comfortable shoes. The noticeable thing about the New Balance is it's heavier, and I think that affects it hugely. I don't know why it's so heavy for a carbon plate running shoe. I know New Balance have a reputation of solid, dependable shoes, but I think they could forsake a little bit of that in their ultimate road racing shoe. I haven't raced any of these shoes. I will be running a 5K in the Alphafly 3, and I will be doing a marathon in the New Balance in I think 5 weeks and 3 days time. More to come on that, and I'm really looking forward to doing races in those. If I was picking one for just the comfort, well, I'd probably pick the New Balance over. I'll find that out on the marathon, but yeah, for speed, the Alphafly 3. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you put into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there. That's right, videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.